Yesterday we had the first session. Laurent Sabine gave a very nice and complete talk about what we need to know about, what we still want to know about planetary nebulae and protoplanetary nebulae. She highlighted this, that we need the need of census, high energy studies, binarity, circumbinary disks, dust and molecules, magnetic fields, planet halos, and some alternative evolutionary sequences. I would like to highlight here that surveys are useful to understand planetary nebulae as a phenomenon. And I would like just to mention a few of these surveys. Let me just start by this Stangalini and collaborators work in 2012, but they took more than 150 planetary nebulae from the Spitzer archive to study the chemistry of dust and their distribution within the galaxy. So this is just a very nice figure that I took from the paper. So this author made this extensive work on the characterization of dust. Other works concentrated in the central stars and the characterization of the central star planetary nebulae. This is Velikova and collaborators, 2012, searching for dust in disks around the central stars of planetary nebulae. It also was performed with the Spitzer data of more than 70 planetary nebulae, revealing the presence of breakout bodies in planetesimal belts or the presence of circumstellar dust. This is just a couple of spectral energy distribution. Of course, I cannot go without mention the Chandra Planetary Nebula survey, which is dedicated, has been dedicated in the characterization of hot bubbles and the central engines of planetary nebulae. So the whole amount of work is dedicated for studying the temperatures of the hot bubbles, searching for binarity and their signatures in the X-ray regime. In 2016, Gerardo Ramos Larios and collaborators searched for these ring-like structures in more than something about 650 objects, including planetary nebulae and protoplanetary nebulae from the HST and the Spitzer archive. So the goal of this work was to search for these ring-like structures in order to correlate with the presence of the spiral patterns in AGB, around AGB stars. So only 8% of these sources exhibit some kind of ring-like structure. So we still don't know if these are erased by the evolution of or the creation of the planetary nebula, or spirals are not ubiquitous in all planetary nebulae, all AGB stars. There's a vast of works addressing the physical and chemical properties of planetary nebulae. This is just to mention a couple of works from Danekar from recently this year, and Garcia Rojas and collaborators from several years. So the goal of these works is to trace the evolutionary sequences through spectroscopic observations, dedicated spectroscopic observations. But then again, we also need the combination of different wavelengths. Yeah. So yesterday we saw amazing presentations by Joel Gassner and Bruce Balik about this spectacular object, which is NGC 6302. Evidently, studying specific objects can also give us, in Spanish we say we can even see the eyelashes, the details in the objects. So as we also in this talks, this combination of multi-wavelengths can even not answer the questions, but give us more questions about formation histories in specific objects. So dedicated observations to specific targets help us uncover amazing details, as I've just mentioned. This session will be mostly dedicated to the radio and submillimeter observations. I want to mention here this work by Daniel Tafoya and collaborators in 2020, the ALMA observations of this protoplanetary object, which is extremely bipolar and very likely we're witnessing the collimation of the jet, and which, this is just the phrase that I took from the abstract, So they mentioned that observations provide key initial conditions for theoretical models that aim to explain the formation of bipolar morphologies. And of course, Guillermo demonstrated with his simulations that he can reproduce these morphologies. Just a work that I like from the Spanish group from Valentín Jarrabal, 2016. These ALMA observations of the red rectangle, which has been an object that has been mentioned several times during the conference. And so the specific characteristics of submillimeter observations is that we can detect molecular emission, which provides morphokinematic information. So it gives us some information about the kinematics and the morphology of the gas. Something that we just recently started doing with optical observations through the integral field spectroscopy, like Megara or Muse observations. So without further ado, so this will be the talks today. We start with a couple of talks, and then we have a break, and then two other talks. So I just want to highlight 3 posters. I already wrote this on the slide, so please have a moment and go and have a look at the posters. This is Laurence Sabin poster. Carlis Pukitis, sorry if I don't pronounce it correctly, and Gerardo Ramos Lagos. Okay, let's get started. So each talk will be the same, 15 minutes, 12 minutes for the speaker, 3 minutes for questions. I will give you a 1-minute warning for when your time is running out. Please remember to go to the SPN2 Slack channel, and please mute yourself during the presentations. So we'll start with Carmen. If you can share your screen, please.